Alright, so they did a bunch of frost changes, so I want to cover really quickly what they changed, what the tree looks like, and then the problems that still exist. So this is what the tree looks like. Removed a choice node here, so split them, moved it over here, shuffled this around a little bit, and removed the Freezing Winds Slick Ice choice node, and made Icy Veins, just kind of rolled improved Icy Veins into that duration, and then they reworked Piercing Cold, and that's all they did. Now let's talk about the problems. So they, added extra pathing here, but they added extra pathing to the thing, still all along the path, which is weird because both these talents are incredibly inferior to the ones to ride them. I'm never going to take Everlasting Frost to get down to Perpetual Winter as opposed to Brain Freeze. And I'm probably not going to take both unless I'm playing, Cold Front. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I'm not a level 70 character because it's pre-patch. I don't really know what the what the stuff's gonna end up looking like. I imagine for Freezing Winds, you'd probably just never take Slick Ice in dungeons and just take Everlasting Frost, but who knows? They also did increase the Blizzard CDR back to 0.5 seconds, but it would have made much more. And then obviously for Frostbite, I'm not gonna never take Piercing Cold. I'm always gonna take this, and Frostbite's not worth it. The only time that taking these talents would have been worth it is if you can't take Blizzard, or if you can afford to not take Blizzard and Cold Snap, because you can see this is the first gate. So if I could just take this to get down to Lonely Winter, that would be great. But I can't. I'm still forced to take Blizzard and Cold Snap. So it kind of makes no sense for this to go to Perpetual Winter and for this to go Bone Chilling instead for it to just go straight down. So you can avoid Cold Snap or you can avoid Blizzard. But just some interesting choices there. And for Piercing Cold, this actually increases Glacial Spike's damage as well. If you actually looked at the patch notes, I'm not sure if this double dips. It might be that the crit strike damage is increased for both Icicles and for Glacial Spike, and that would stack to 40%. Or it might be it only works once, so it's only 20%. Either way, this is just them intending to flat out buff Glacial Spike, which is fine. The main problems that currently exist are this didn't dodge its original predecessor's problems, because Arctic Piercing before, its problem was that it forced you to play more Ice Lance or Frostbolt focus builds, whereas this thing's problem is that it adds capability to both, the standard Shadowlands build, because you're generating a lot of Icicles with Hailstones, and also to Glacial Spike, because it increases Glacial Spike and Icicles damage, so just straight buff to Glacial Spike, but it does nothing for the other active abilities in Frost's toolkit. So now you have Ray of Frost, Ebon Bolt, and Comet Storm as 3 abilities that do literally nothing with the rest of your kit. None of them, actually, I don't know about Ebon Bolt, but Ray of Frost and Comet Storm don't proc Icy Propulsion. So they're just there for damage. And it feels bad. Definitely feels bad. The main thing that I want to say, I suppose, is that without AoE Icy Propulsion, there is going to be a distinct lack of build variety in dungeons. You cannot play Cold Front, and you can't, you could play GS, I guess, but you can't play Cold Front in dungeons without AoE Icy Propulsion, because you're building up to something that is only damage, and you're building up to it very slowly with a percentage chance on your Frostbolts. And what would make Cold Front very strong would be being able to play with Slick Ice, but Slick Ice only works when Icy Veins up. So by the time Icy Veins is, you're gonna hit 10 stacks by the time Icy Veins is like falling off with the early expansion levels of haste. So Cold Front's dead as a dungeon build. Glacial Spike, you would just never play Glacial Spike unless it's massively overtuned in a dungeon that isn't, strictly 2 to 4 target cleave the entire dungeon, because you just don't have the time, like the space to cast it in AoE if you're, spamming Blizzards, spamming Frozen Orbs, which you would be. And then you got your Cone of Cold, you got your Comet Storm, you got your Ice Novas. Like, you just don't have time to cast Glacial Spike in AoE. So, and that's obviously hurt even more when you're not Ice Veins. So no AoE Ice Propulsion just reduces build variety in dungeons. It's a straight downgrade from the current version of Frost. Icy Propulsion is only 1 second now. It's actually 1.88 seconds in retail, but it also procs off AoE, so you get way more. Even in single target, you get way more Icy Repulsion. A large part of the reason that we're able to play Necrolord this tier is because you have 2 Comet Storms. So you can imagine how much, having the value of Icy Repulsion and then also not getting any Comet Storm value from it and not getting any Frozen Orb value from it really hampers your Icy Veins uptime, even just in single target. But it means that your AoE uptime is absolutely horrible. And you feel bad because your standard rotation is generally going to be like casting Frozen Orb into your Freezing Rain Blizzard, 2 Ice Lances with Icy Veins, and then you Comet Storm Ice Nova. And that would take about 8 or 9 seconds, and you would just have 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on your Icy Veins, and it would be halfway over. So it doesn't feel very rewarding. I mean, Icy Veins isn't a rewarding cooldown ever, and not having AoE Icy Propulsion means that the time you spend in Icy Veins doing AoE spells feels like a waste of time. So, yeah. That's the main problems with it. Slick Ice doesn't work without permanent Icy Veins. It's not that good of ability. They majorly buffed Glacial Spike. They buffed the Frozen Orb playstyle again, which is good. But the problem with this is, I mean, aside from the fact that it kind of forces you into Freezing Winds, which is fine because Freezing Winds is fun, Freezing Winds is also not that interesting of a talent when you don't have haste, because you just can't afford to cast anything between the Ice Lances, and that's even doubly more so with Flash Freeze. Flash Freeze and Hailstones, you're constantly generating icicles, then you're sending icicles, and those icicles are generating Fingers of Frost. So you're really just going to be you're going to be time starved in Frost rotation. You're going to be very busy, and you just won't have the, you will actually have the Ice Veins uptime with Freezing Winds, but you won't with other things because Thermal Void and whatnot. So, what this rant basically boils into is they didn't give you another way to path down the middle. They added even more damage buffs to Frostbolt. It's 20% damage buff there, 25% there, 15% there, 40% there, 20% there. It's honestly probably gonna do more damage than Ice Lance on beta right now when you shatter it. There's no way to path, without taking Blizzard and Cone Cold, or Cold Snap, sorry. Snowstorm still takes really long time to build up. They didn't do anything to improve Ray Frost's viability. They didn't address the lack of build variety for Frost and Dungeon because Cold Front is still dead in the water, and it still feels like a downgrade from Shadowlands Frost. They didn't change Shifting Power at all. They should have just moved it up here and add the Unity behind. Ice Ward, who cares? Move Frigid Winds here. They removed 2 seconds off Frost Nova's duration to add this, and no one's ever going to take this talent. So you move Ice Ward there, put Shifting Power here and Unity there, make Meteor actually do something in AoE that's not the Flame Patch. So I don't know. Good changes. I don't want to say they're not good changes, but the mainly good changes are decoupling the choice nodes and reverting Blizzard back to 0.5 seconds. But they just really don't want to do AoE Ice Propulsion for the sole reason that you can have 100% rune uptime in AoE, and all they need to do is give Rune an ICD in AoE, or not AoE, just give Rune an ICD with Icy Veins, and that fixes the problem. And Rune of Power literally has a line that says it's casted when you use Icy Veins. Just add a second sentence that says can only occur every 45 seconds or something, and there you go. You fixed AoE for Frost. But that's alright. Substantive changes. I'm probably not gonna play Mage in Dragonflight, so yeah. But looks good for Frost. Maybe if the beta comes up sometime soon, I'll probably do like a new video with, new Freezing Winds. Not new Freezing Winds, but Freezing Winds that feels much better. So thanks for watching. Leave any comments down below or whatnot. So